Hello and welcome to Topline Talks, a Mackie Myers podcast hosted by me, Owen Myers.
And me, Jenna Mackie.
As a senior finance and operations recruiter across multiple sectors, the aim of this podcast is to bring a variety of different interesting insights from finance and business leaders across the spectrum of the economy. Today, though, we have a very special and alternative guest in that we are delighted to have Mr. Ryan Cooke join us. Ryan is actually joining the Mackie Myers business as a partner in the business to launch and grow initially our Oxford office, going broader into the Northern Home Counties and M4 corridor over time. I've worked with Ryan before. Jenna has a little bit as well. So we're absolutely delighted to announce his acquisition to the market. I'm really pleased that he's joined us to give a bit of an intro to the wider market as to what he's about, why he's joined, what he's going to be looking to do, and how you can reach out. So, Ryan, thank you very much for
Thank you.
Joining us on the journey.
Good to be here.
And also the podcast.
Yeah, pleasure. Good to be here, guys.
Very good.
Got here before transfer deadline day.
Yes.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah. We got the signatures in.
Didn't quite make headline news, but anyway.
So, Ryan, your favourite question, for those that don't know you, can you give us a little bit of an intro as to who you are, what you're about?
Okay, what am I about? So I've been in recruitment 12 years, nearly 12 years, but we'll round up. And joined a large corporate 12 years ago after graduating at the University of Kent. Did criminology and cultural studies. Don't ask me what that was about. I can't remember.
The big one.
But I did love it, actually. And then fell into the world of recruitment after a short time in sport. And have done a multitude of different things in corporate, but definitely felt it was the right time for a change. And mainly been based out of Oxford. So based out of born and bred, yokel, Oxfordshire boy. And I've always been in and around Oxford, and then have subsequently moved around the regions, managing various different businesses. But Oxford's what I'm passionate about, the Oxford-Cambridge arc. Obviously, we've got so much to offer across the Golden Triangle.
The Golden Triangle.
Yeah, looking to continue to grow that, hopefully. Yeah, that's a bit about
me. You went into sports initially. I did not know this.
I mean, okay, so you've asked, so I'm going to tell you. So basically, I did what every poor sportsman does. When you realise you're not very good, you then go into coaching.
Right.
So I was a basketball coach, and my parents were both, my stepdad and my mum were both basketball coaches. So I did a bit of basketball coaching and did a bit of county level basketball coaching, and managed one of the England under 12s around the Olympics.
That is very cool.
And then when the Olympics finished, all the funding got pulled. And, everyone was made redundancy. Then that's find something else to do.
Coaching career was shortly over.
Very short, but a lot better than my playing career. So.
Oh, nice. Did not know that. So how did you land in recruitment?
How did I land in recruitment? So I think as a grad, I just put myself out there. And I always think it's really daunting for graduates, especially when you don't really know what you want to do. Mm. So at the time, it was all sort of marketing, internships and things like that. And then I had a phone call from this corporate, and had a couple of meetings. And actually, I think initially I thought they were going to help me with my job search. And before I knew it, I had 3 or 4 people in the room all asking me all these questions. And then 12 years later, loving it. I mean, it's a really interesting industry. There's not many industries you can go into, and week 2 you're sat in front of a CEO talking about the strategy of their business. That's pretty cool. And I think hopefully I know a little bit more than I did 12 years ago when I was advising that first CEO. Sorry
if you're listening.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She knows who she is. So there you go.
You've obviously said it's been a great job to go into, like as a graduate. What is it you've loved the most about your recruitment career?
I mean, look, the people, and that's mainly the reason why I'm sat here. Is you meet some amazing people from all sorts of different backgrounds. There isn't a sort of set type of person that ends up in recruitment. So I love that part of it. I've been able to travel the world. I've been able to sit in front of some really impressive executives from all sorts of different sectors. I've being able to be involved in, building the strategy for a big company. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's many industries you can do that so early on. And I've always said this, in sales particularly, the best part of the job's being in front of a customer. And again, you're doing that from sort of week 4, week 5, often, again, having to discover your own mastery, if you like. And I've loved that about the job. But, you can't describe that, I don't think.
Yeah.
So when someone says, what do you do? And you say, oh, you're a recruiter. And the person goes, crikey. And then you try and sell why recruitment's great. It's really hard to describe. It's like, unless you do it, you don't really understand why you love it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I think as well, like you get so much insight into business from such a young age because you're working across loads of different sectors, loads of different industries, like you say, meeting loads of different people. I actually think you get loads of exposure to like the business world quite quickly in this job versus a lot of other jobs. So yeah, I think for a grad, it's like amazing experience to get from quite a young age.
100%. And also, just basic observations about candidate experience. We've all been there.
Yeah.
You've been the grad at the start of the process where you're filling out an auto form into a bot and you don't get any feedback and you sort of think, how was I perceived? My CV with, waitress and, paperboy. That's all I've got to work with, I'm afraid. So yeah, I
Yours was bakery, wasn't it?
Bakery, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, Saturday boy at the bakery.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, followed by do any job in a hotel that they'd want me doing, I'd do that. Barman, night porter.
Yeah.
Night porter.
Somehow find yourself in a career. So yeah.
What did you do, Jenna? What was your thing?
Yeah, hospitality, waitressing, working behind a bar. Did that probably from the age of about 14, really. All throughout uni. Definitely got sacked from one of my jobs for missing too many shifts, though. And
I think we've all probably been there.
Yeah. And then, same as you, fell into recruitment afterwards, after graduated. So yeah, similar story, but no bakery, sadly. No bakery.
That'd be the size of a house if I was a bakery. You actually do some work out front and not be tasting all the dough. Sake, yeah. Anyway.
So criminology was never because I know you flirted with the police over the years from time to time.
Yeah, when I was growing up, I always thought, I want to be a police officer. My granddad was a police officer, so I always thought about doing it. But to be honest, criminology did actually put me off. I mean, you're sort of thinking about. We did loads of stuff around sociology and stuff, and it put me off in the end. But I was grateful when my last company reached out. I was grateful because I just thought, God, what am I going to do? And obviously you want to earn well. You're saddled with university debt. So, but yeah, I've never looked at it again, really.
You hear that quite a lot. I mean, anyone that I know is a lawyer. Very few of them actually studied law at university. Most of the people that did got turned off it, through the way they do the course and things like that. And it's more people that then do the LPC afterwards and legal conversion and everything like that. So yeah, I've heard similar with criminology. So
100%.
Well, glad you committed to the industry because it's great to have you with us. So tell us a little bit about, I guess, your, general sort of positioning in the market, where you enjoy focusing, where your expertise and network is, just to give people a bit of a view as to, where you might be able to add value moving forward.
So look, most of my career has been in finance, in and around the Thames Valley and Oxfordshire. So one of the things I've loved about the journey I've had so far is most customers, you start with what the problem is. I think one of my frustrations with Big Co now specifically is you're not always in a situation where you've got a toolkit where you can actually tackle that problem with the customer. So what I've loved doing, understanding what the problem is and then trying to help them diagnose what a possible solution might be. And often that can involve hiring a new person. So in finance, particularly, if you've got a new CFO, someone who's just landed and they've got to look at, implementing a new system, improving internal comms, putting in a business partnering model, whatever it might be, actually being able to walk with them step by step on how do you go about implementing that. And often that isn't actually hiring as step one. So I think our positioning in the market will be, we want to know what your problem is. Tell us what your problems are and let's help you diagnose what a possible solution might be. And undoubtedly at some point there'll be a need for different skills, new faces. But actually is there steps before that which we can help you just through networking? And again, through 12 years, there's a whole network of people that are better than me or us at diagnosing certain things but actually we know what we're good at, so we can feed into that chain at times. And I love the networking piece is the best bit, right? The person that you met 3 years ago and you think, actually, they can help on this. So I think that's probably the first bit. I think the second bit is I've operated across a multitude of different disciplines. So finance is sort of my homestay. I've got experience in HR, in change management, in legal. So, to be able to give a bit more support on the operations side as well is, something we're wanting to do. And again, hopefully, if I think about a classic SME who's looking to scale, you're almost building out your top board as you grow the business. So to be able to go on that journey with an organisation that's either looking to scale or is changing or has been bought or sold, that for me I think is where I think we can add most value.
What were the obstacles to doing that previously that you would come up against?
Well, I mean, part of it was internal, if I'm honest. One of the great things, right, about Big Co is you have this whole, sort of wealth of different things at your disposal. The challenge is you don't have ownership of it. You pass it off and you lose the ability, especially in smaller regional markets where you're dealing with a CEO who you build a relationship with over a period of time. And then they say, look, I need this. And you go, okay, well, that won't be me. That'll be someone else. And you're almost passing that relationship, if you view it like your family vase that you've had in the years. But, it's true though. You keep it, you nurture it for years and years. You keep it in good nick and then you pass it over to someone else who's in a totally different location and doesn't really care. And before you know it, it's smashed. So I think not having that as an obstacle, I'm really looking forward to, where actually I can nurture it throughout. And that's not to say I don't introduce them to other people. Yeah. Of course I will. But I can do that with people that I know will continue to nurture that relationship, better it, and hopefully take the company into a, sort of better condition than when I left it. Yeah. The amount of times I'm roped onto a call and it's like, that thing you were going to help me on a couple of weeks ago hasn't quite gone to plan. Okay, let's pick that up again. So that's been an obstacle. Yeah. And I think, look, it's been just turbulent. Like, businesses, I think, have held off in so many ways, certainly in the last 3 or 4 years, trying to tackle lots of different things, culturally, workforce challenges. Obviously, the economy has been a bundle of joy. So I think, all of those things, I think, have been challenging. So I think, again, getting into a position where there's a bit of certainty and being able to, go on a more positive journey, I think, hopefully will be good as well.
I think when you look at the recruitment industry in the UK specifically, it's not just a blip. Like, it is a growing trend where large established corporate businesses are struggling, and continue to struggle. We've all worked in one, so it's quite difficult to say that, but it is. And I think what we're seeing, and you'll see as you come at it from working in a smaller business lens, is actually, the thing that you talk to about that quality of human capital advice. Start with the problem, let's try and diagnose what it is, and etc. You're not as able to do in the bigger corporate setups. It's a bit more, this is the lane you're swimming in, and rinse and repeat type. And whilst there's been lots of models that have cropped up over the years that have tried to contend with that, fundamentally that's what those businesses are. So it's a shame to see that market shrinking a little bit, but it is shrinking. But I think it just goes to show that where the customer base is at the moment is they do want that experience-led, human-centered advice, which is where a smaller boutique independent partner can hopefully offer.
I think customers are genuinely tired of the everything to everyone approach, and I think the ability to be able to see a business that's a supplier of mine that understands and is on a similar journey to the business that I'm working for. And if I think about Oxford and Cambridge and obviously the startup community we've got in London, they are all on a small scaling journey, which is exactly what we're on. So for us to be able to, look at that business and go, look, we understand what those pains are. And we're not going to try and be everything to everyone. We're going to be able to support you on this particular area. But all those other operational challenges, we understand the pain there. So actually, let's get you some help from somewhere else who might be able to help you with office space, for example, which is a real big pain. Legal support. What law firm do I use? And in Oxford, particularly with spin-outs and startups, I get asked all sorts of questions about, I need to get IP. Who can I talk to about IP? I don't have the first clue about IP, but I know some really good people that do know a lot about it. So, yeah, I think genuinely, most of our customers that I've worked with over the years are really fed up of are you truly global, or are you actually an SME supplier? And it'd be nice to be able to actually say we know what we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Since you touched on Oxford there, so can we delve into Oxford market a little bit more? Because obviously you've been in it. It's your home, as you say, kind of where you all started. For us, I've kind of, supported you in it over the years as well. Fascinating market. It actually links to our core London business where we've started very well. So for those that don't know what that market is, like perhaps you could bring it to life a little bit.
Well, look, it's clearly underpinned by the university and a huge NHS foundation. So we've got the benefit of academia and some massive institutions that underpin the city. But there's a huge suburban, Oxfordshire as a county has a huge amount to offer, and the Thames Valley. And we've got life sciences, we've got technology, we've got industrial and manufacturing, we've got FMCG. So, typically it tends to be built out the university. And clearly over the years, Oxford and Cambridge have been in a bit of a tussle. And I think finally Oxford now is moving further and further ahead, partly because of the benefit of the broader Thames Valley and our closeness to London as well. But, life sciences is really, really prominent. And our relationship with the university and the various investment vehicles that work with the university, often will ask us for support around IP, office space, first board hires. Mm-hmm. So I also think that, Oxford is blessed by the fact that it borders so many other territories. You've got Reading on the doorstep, Milton Keynes, you've got access to the Midlands. So, it's a great market to be part of. And actually what I love about Oxford the most is you've got this really sort of transient population. You've got locals like me that stick around forever and, sort of talk in a bit of a Bristolian accent. And then you've got all these other people that, will come to either study at the university or, want to live in close proximity to London. And, that's brilliant. I don't think there are many places in the UK where you get the benefit of both worlds.
Yeah. How
many people are in the university? I mean, you've got, thousands and thousands of employees at the university, and then you've got thousands of startups that have 2 or 3 people in them. And you've got the Atomic Energy Authority as well that are up the road, which is massively on the government agenda.
And obviously, you don't just live in the area and have worked in the area. You've given your time to the area because obviously you're a chair of a local charity, for a little while. Tell us a little bit more about that, and I guess what impact having that experience has had on, I guess, your professional career.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to be appointed a trustee of Homeless Oxfordshire a few years ago, and it was a charity actually that was behind where I used to work. And I mean, homelessness in Oxford, homelessness everywhere, right, is again high on the government agenda. Yeah, it's really visible in Oxford. So when I was put on the board, it was a chance to apply my skills in a slightly different way. As I say, I'm from Oxford, so I'm really passionate about it. And it was really interesting. It's so rewarding. You meet some incredible people that just do some absolutely amazing work. And equally, you're meeting, people who are part of the community that don't always get heard or listened to, or, you don't realise are sort of, finding life really difficult. So, yeah, I did it for just short of 3 years, up to 3 years. And we appointed a new CEO. We went through loads of cultural change. We appointed a number of new trustees. We opened a new facility in the north of the county. So, it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I'd recommend it to anyone. If you feel like you've got something extra to give and you want a bit of new experience, volunteering as a trustee, it's great. It's a brilliant experience, especially when you can do it in your own backyard as well.
Yeah, for sure.
It's great.
What did you learn from those 3 years that you've been able to implement to your job as a recruiter?
I think, look, when you're in sales, it's quite, I think a lot of it is quite cut and thrust. Whereas, you're working to a totally different set of commercial objectives, right, when you're dealing with a charity. And no one is there to hit targets. Everybody's there to care for people. So actually just making decisions on a totally different set of objectives is really interesting. And actually you can bring that into work, especially when you're thinking about things like wellness, when you're thinking about, trying to accommodate people from very different backgrounds, dealing with very different situations. So that has been really beneficial. And equally, you're just dealing with a totally different set of people. And obviously I've recruited for loads of charities over the years, thoroughly enjoyed it, but you're only viewing that through one lens. When you're actually part of that organisation, like on a Christmas Eve 2 years ago, I was in our main hostel in Oxford. When you're recruiting for an organisation, you don't see that. But actually being in there was, really eye-opening. And makes you, admire the work that so many organisations do. But charity is massive in Oxford. I think people appreciate that. There's a huge charitable following in Oxford. And Homeless Oxfordshire are part of a broader alliance. And they're one of many organisations that are doing lots of good work in the county. Enjoyed it. The only other thing I would say is, and it just seems to happen, anyone who's a trustee will tell you this, and you're a governor, aren't you?
No longer, but yes, I was for a good stint.
Fair enough. But what you tend to find is, when your normal job gets really hectic, the trustee thing also gets quite hectic. It's almost like they clap at the same time, genuinely. I don't know why that was, but literally be like, oh, today's been quite difficult. And then the phone would ring and you're like, okay, 2 problems down.
Isn't that just life?
I mean, it probably is just life. Yeah, that is very true.
When it rains, it pours, doesn't it?
It definitely poured, I would say. But testing, trying.
So with a young family, could probably do without that time commitment or stress at this period of time in your life, I guess.
Well, but you have to do 3 years, right? So most trusteeships, they could run for 3 years and you can extend for a further 3. But after all, I came along. It was then 3 phone calls. So I thought, I'll stop at 2. But it's going really well. I think they're going good guns. I still support them and still keep in touch with them.
So I guess bringing it back to the Mackie Myers business.
Yeah.
What was it about Mackie Myers in general that made you think, this is a good move, this is what I want to do, I'm excited to give it a go?
Jenna wants her ego stroked, basically. That's the question she's asked in.
Well, I think I know the answer.
Okay. Right, let me just rethink my answer. Joking. Okay, well, look, I think the first thing is trust, right? I think that's the biggest thing. And actually, same for customers. Customers want to work with you because they trust you. So massive thing for me was about trust. And I'm, proud to say that I trust you.
Thanks, Ryan.
No problem. I think trust is really, really important. So that was a really big thing. I think the other thing is, Oxford, as we said before, the foundations of the market is not for profit. And I think what Mackie Myers has done brilliantly is built a real following in not for profit, particularly in academia, in charity, in housing. We've got a big presence of that in the Thames Valley and in the home counties more broadly. So that fitted really, really nicely. Mm-hmm. And I think the other frustration just around the rigidity of Big Co, you're trying to turn a massive ship when it comes to implementing new technology and things like that, which just means that, operationally from a front end point of view, it just feels a bit tired and a bit lost. Whereas, the technology you guys are using already, even just not just applying to customers, but applying internally with what the guys are using is so much more appealing. And again, when I'm dealing with a startup, scale up who need technology to try and make the business as efficient as possible so that they can either sell it or whatever it might be, that's far more, relatable to them than, I always say to people, when we recruited for Homeless Oxfordshire, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but I'm going to say anyway. When we recruited for Homeless Oxfordshire, you helped us recruit the CEO. And Owen sent the shortlist to the then interim CEO, our chair, and the trustees. And it came through on this sort of portal. I remember going, it's a bit fancy, I quite like this. And we sort of opened up this portal and there's like a list of candidates, all the notes, and to everybody listening and watching, this might just be really normal practice. But obviously, where I come from, we would attach Word documents to an email and press send. So, even that front-end user experience, all of the trustees commented on it. And actually, just those little things for front-end user experience, just elevates, the whole thing versus opening a load of Word documents.
Yeah.
So.
No, we're really passionate about it. I think from the get-go, when you come out of Big Co and come into a smaller environment, actually you get exposed to, the wider recruitment landscape and the technology startups that are trying to solve different problems in the industry and all that sort of stuff. And we've got a bit overexcited in some areas and probably overspent in things that haven't added value. But actually, we're constantly trying to assess our process as to, right, how can we make that reduce the friction in that process? How can we improve that touch point experience for anybody that we're dealing with? And, at Big Co, it probably takes a year of influencing and sitting committees to get something implemented
100%.
that costs very little, whereas we can do it in a week. I mean, Jenna would probably say I go a bit too quickly on stuff, which is fair. But, you get the point. You can get things going pretty quickly. And that's, like, from a customer point of view, we hope that partnering with a business like ours, that's quite appealing because we're constantly trying to be at the cutting edge. And it is the basic things. When you say to someone, I send all of my contracts via DocuSign, doesn't sound very sexy, but 90% of the market send Word documents and say, can you sign this contract, please? Do you know what I mean? And so painful. It's just those little things. And the grand sum of it is, the impression that you got, I guess, with that digital shortlist.
And just decision making, just being able to, I'm very excited about that. And I think the only other thing I'd say, and I sort of said this earlier on, to be able to nurture a customer and be able to introduce them to you two and go, this is the business. That's great. I couldn't do that at my last place. And actually, I probably wouldn't want to with quite a few of them. So, I think that's going to mean a lot to a CEO of a company that's entrusting us to help him or her grow, shrink, change, sell. So, yeah.
Nurture that family vase, hey?
All about the family vase. All about the family vase. And I'm not saying I haven't smashed them in the past, because I definitely have. But I'm pretty good at keeping on top of it. So, yes.
Topline quiz is a little bit of get to know you.
Okay.
And obviously, given that you're joining the business, a little bit of what your opinions are on the recruitment market.
Already.
They're not that complicated, don't worry. Okay, question number 1. Would you rather go to Clarkson's Farm or Disneyland Paris?
Oh, cruel. You got to stay local.
I can't believe you're picking Clarkson's Farm.
It's very cruel, but Clarkson's Farm's got to be up the Jeremy.
So for those who don't know, so Ryan lives in Chipping Norton, which is obviously just down the road from the farm. Have you been to the pub?
I haven't been to the pub because it's absolutely heaving.
Yeah.
But I believe it's gone swimmingly, and he's great. We're big Clarkson fans. He's good for the local area, but it's meant to be amazing. Highly recommend it.
We'll have to go for a visit.
For sure.
What does a Saturday night look like in the Cooke household?
God. Well, it's a bit different now with
Keep
all
it PG.
Yeah, I mean, there's no danger there. So what does a Saturday night look like in the Cooke household? Well, often if Ant and Dec's Saturday Night Takeaway is on, that is definitely on the telly, because I am the world's biggest fan of Ant and Dec's Saturday Night Takeaway. So that's definitely a staple. Curry.
Nice.
The Cooke household love a curry. I mean, that's probably about it. I mean, I am very country bumpkin. I mean, anyone who really knows me knows that it's fairly simple. It's a curry. Yeah, Ant and Dec's Saturday Night Takeaway.
I don't think I even knew Ant and Dec's Saturday Night Takeaway was still on. But
okay, slightly offended. It's actually the best show ever. It's just,
good
feel
fun.
good. Yeah, feel good telly. So there's probably a bit of that. And frankly, an early night probably, if providing all is asleep.
Behaving.
Yeah.
If you weren't in recruitment, what job do you think you would be doing?
Probably a holiday rep, to be honest. No, I'm joking. What I've always wanted to do is run my own cafe. So I'd hopefully be running my own cafe somewhere. But that's probably a pipe dream.
Chat to Clarkson, get some tips.
Yeah, I probably should actually.
Yeah.
That's not a bad shout. Yeah, or Caleb.
To be fair, we used to do those 360 or 180 feedbacks, whatever they were. And one of the questions always was, if this person wasn't in this job, what would they be? And I had 2 people say an 18 to 30s club rep. I was like, oh my God.
I had holiday rep all the time. Yeah.
Last question. What are you most excited by working for a scaling independent recruitment company?
It's exciting. Absolutely exciting.
It's just exciting.
There's just so many. I just think, God, there's so much negativity when you turn on the news, and certainly working in Big Co, you're constantly trying to beat something from the year before, ignoring any other metric other than the one that they're interested in. It would be really nice just to work in an environment where we're talking about growth, where we're talking about solutions, where we're adapting to what the customer wants. I think that's really, really exciting, and work with some cool, interesting people along the way. And I think it's a really exciting time. It's still really early days, so bring it on. I think Oxford's ready for it. I hope they're ready for it.
They're ready.
Yeah. Good.
Well, they're getting it.
So. They are definitely getting it. Yeah. If I haven't knocked already, I will knock again. That's what I say to all of them.
Well, look, that's our top line quiz. So
Thank you.
You're free to go.
Excellent.
Look, thanks so much for coming.
Pleasure.
This has been a great episode.
Yeah, enjoyed it. I'm pleased.
And yeah, hopefully for our listeners and hopefully our new client base as well over in Oxford, they'll get a bit of insight into you, who you are, what you're about, what you're going to do. For our regular listeners, if you like what you hear, do please hit subscribe. You can find us on Spotify, YouTube and Apple. But for now, that has been Topline Talks.
Thanks very much. Cheerio.